This might be a silly video, but this is something that's been on my mind for a little while, and it got brought up again in one of Arlo's latest videos.
To dredge up that whole thing one more time, when asked about Super Paper Mario after release, allegedly less than 1% of respondents mentioned caring about the story, which led Miyamoto to decide if Paper Mario doesn't need a story, why should we give it one? We still don't know how this happened, and we will probably never know. The story is generally what everyone loves about the first Paper Mario games, Super very much included. I have to imagine it had something to do with the demographics of the people receiving and taking that survey. I don't know. Paper Mario historians will be pondering this until the end of time.
And I feel like I have an answer to this question. And that question, of course, just to reiterate, is how did this happen? How did so many people say that the story was like way too long or the story's not necessary and things like that? And here's what I think. As a Toys R Us employee former, okay, I noticed there was a lot of parents picking up Super Paper Mario. You may also notice that the sales for Super Paper Mario, I believe, is the highest amongst the entire series up to this point. So that might change with Thousand Year Door remake coming out, but for now, that is the case. And why was that the case? Well, this is just anecdotal evidence here. But when I worked at Toys R Us, there was a lot of parents that saw the title Super Paper Mario, and then you look at the back of the box and it looks like a 2D Mario game. Now, we hadn't seen 2D Mario games in a very long time. The only one that came out recently, a year prior, was New Super Mario Bros. On the DS. However, for the Wii, there were no 2D Mario games at the time. And so parents were certainly in my case, were completely misguided about what Super Paper Mario even was. They all thought that, hey, we're just going to get a platforming game. It even says Super Paper Mario, like Super Mario Brothers. So it was really confusing for a lot of folks. I tried to dissuade a lot of parents into at least picking it up on that premise. I told them it's sort of like an action RPG than anything, and they just kind of, their eyes glossed over at the idea of hearing the words action RPG. And so I imagine all over the country, many parents made the same mistake as many of the ones that were at this Toys R Us. And they were all given the same survey as we all got. And to be honest with you, even as somebody that was a little more aware of what I was getting into, the intro to Super Paper Mario is pretty freaking long. If I recall, it can be up to 15 minutes before you can actually start the game. And remember, this is an action RPG, not a traditional Mario 2D adventure. So if you're a person that's expecting that, and then you're waiting 15 minutes through a whole bunch of dialogue just to find out that, oh, this isn't like the original Mario Brothers, you will be disappointed. And then you will take that survey and you will send that off to Nintendo. I am almost certain that a large majority of people did that. And then there's even people that are probably in the same camp as me that still felt like the intro was a little too long. And so when given the opportunity to say that they don't care about the story, they might have actually, submitted the same sort of data as those parents did. And so then you get this overwhelming statistical data that's saying that story in Paper Mario games aren't necessary, when in fact, that was like the worst time to ever put out a survey for the Paper Mario series. That's what I think happened. So if you ever kind of want to just take a guess, have a theory as to how this terrible thing happened, where all of a sudden we have Sticker Star in response to Super Paper Mario, that will always be my number one guess. And, there could be other guesses. It really could have just been that people didn't like the story at the time. I completely disagree. I think that the story in Super Paper Mario, if you see it from start to finish, ends up being the best one in the series. I think it's its strongest suit, honestly. Like the action RPG elements, I didn't mind it. I would prefer, the turn-based combat, but still, I still liked that gameplay style. I liked being able to play as Bowser and Luigi. That was fantastic. And the only thing I hated about Super Paper Mario was it deliberately wasted your time with the lack of knowledge about where to go and what to do. It kind of makes you meander quite a bit until you can figure out where you're supposed to go, just to kind of extend the play time of the game, which I thought was a little bit sketch. I didn't really appreciate that. But, if you're doing a second or third playthrough and you know exactly what you're doing, then the game is just absolutely golden. You have a fantastic time with it. So, that being said, I am glad that they're doing that survey yet again, where they're going to ask people what they think they want for a Paper Mario game, and I hope that Nintendo listens. I think that the results will be different than it was the last time. I can almost guarantee it. I would probably bet my horse on that. And we're just going to have to wait and see. Outside of that, just take this video as one man's guess as far as what happened here. I hope that it creates a little bit of insight. I hope it just creates a discussion, if nothing else. If you have a different theory from mine, I'm more than happy to hear what you have to say. Okay? All right. Well, take care.